Good day and welcome. Today I would like to talk about being a Prack addict. Now, what do I mean by Prack? Well, Prack is an easy term, plastic crack. We're all addicted to it. We are wargamers. We always want more. Shiny new stuff comes out, new armies, new systems, and we keep buying more and more. Some guys don't build this stuff, some guys don't paint this stuff, but in the end we end up spending thousands upon thousands. Sometimes, frankly, on systems we don't even play. For instance, me, I do Star Wars Armada, I do 40k, I do 30k, I do Kings of War. I'm now looking at, well, I did Infinity, and now I'm looking at Flames of War, and oh yes, X-Wing as well, and I dabbled in fantasy. I've pretty much been exposed to every system out there, like let's say 40k just for instance. I think the only three armies I haven't played, well I haven't collected over the ages, was Sisters Battle, Eldar, and Dark Eldar. That is it. Besides that, I've had every other army, that's just 40k. Armada, I need to have like about 2 ships of every type. X-Wing, I like to have 2 or 3 ships of every type, unless I'm running a TIE Swarm, and in that case I need like 8. So you see where I'm getting with this. I am an addict and I'm not afraid to say it. Granted, it's my hobby, I love it. But sometimes I wish I could personally control myself. For instance, now a new army comes out or new units come out. Do we really need them? Most oftentimes not. But we still end up buying them. And why do we buy them? Because, we're addicted. Now, let's put that aside and let's look at, do we actually finish armies that we have? At the moment I have unfinished Grey Knights. I have unfinished Black Templars, I have unfinished Imperial Guard, unfinished Beastmen, unfinished, I don't even know what anymore. Oh yes, my 30k army, that is barely put together at the moment. And just something like that would keep me occupied for ages, but before that's even over, I invest in more. And a lot of people do too. There's this new Kickstarter for that space saga, what's it called, by Mantic, called Star Saga, that's the correct one. And I've already put a pledge for that, and that alone is well over 100 models. I can't remember now the exact amount, but that is coming in. And then I have orders from GW for some Australians coming in, and some Cassican, and I'm just trying not to think about it. And I have terrain that still needs to be built, and just frankly not enough time. It was a lot easier when I was younger and I didn't have huge responsibilities and work. But alas, that is life and we must all deal with it. So now, if we need to discuss this further, what is actually keeping us purchasing more and delving into more systems without actually completing the stuff that we have? Is it the same because it's shiny, it's the new in thing at the moment, is the new rules, and the new rules, they change by the time we even really finish the old stuff, it also then becomes obsolete? I doubt it's something like that. I think it mainly just comes down to we just keep putting off our big projects, looking for a quick fix on something new, something exciting, and before we know it, we have 5 or 6 big projects. None of them are complete, and now we as wargamers should strive to finish our armies. There is nothing better on the table than a couple of sets of really well painted armies on nice terrain, duking it out, and that's what actually makes our hobby. But if you're constantly just playing against grey plastic, or in some cases the more elite addicts, they go to resin, it can get a bit tedious. So again, I ask the question, why do we not finish it? Is it maybe because we're lazy? Possibly. I mean, the average wargamer isn't really the most competitive sportsman out there. But either way, I think it just comes down to lack of discipline, and we're constantly being marketed these new shiny models that are coming out. It was easier back in the day. I remember when it started 3rd edition 40k, the armies were much smaller. So you had like, okay, granted I used to play Space Marines, but then you'd have maybe, let's say 3 vehicles, 30 Marines in total. And that was your army. That was your 1500 point army, plus minus. Now that is maybe what, 700-800 points? If you're playing the normal points game of, like, let's say 1650, you'll need pretty much double that. And then new stuff is constantly coming out, as I've said. New stuff that we have to adapt to. Back then, models weren't really churned out as quickly. New armies weren't churned out as quickly. It took a good 2-3 years until we got something that really like upset the system. So you had about 2 or 3 years to finish your army. Now, pretty much, let's look at Games Workshop's schedule. It's pretty much at least once a month there's some new big thing out for 40k alone, and you need to adapt to it, and that means you might need to purchase new models, or you might need to change your current models. All of a sudden your army is like pretty much useless, and yeah, I don't know what to say really when it comes to that. All I know is that at the end I have a mountain of grey plastic, and grey plastic that keeps mocking me from the cupboard or the corner, wherever I store it. And then in the end, some new system comes out. Something else that's epic, like let's say bolt action, saying I'm also very interested in. I do not dare dwell into it, just because of the mess I have around me. And that was something that also kept me away from Flames of War, besides insanely complicated rule sets and books, and you don't even know what's going on over there anymore. Granted, 4th edition is coming out just now, so let's see how that goes. But either way, with the amount of systems out there and the constant releases for a lot of them, we've kind of all been drowned in this marketing and this hype, and eventually we as wargamers need to say enough is enough. I'm going to stick with what I have for now, maybe for the next year or two, finish that up, and only if then something really, really important comes out, then I'll go into it. But you know what, we can all say that in the end, like I said, Prack addicts, who knows, saying new might be coming out right now tomorrow, and that will be another good investment for me. Anyways, cheers guys. If you have any feedback on the video, please post it below. Please subscribe. And how have you come to control your addiction? And no, saying you're out of funds isn't really a concrete answer, because we always find funds for new models. That's what addicts do. Anyway, cheers from me. Hope you have a good evening. Bye.